Awesome. Okay, we're gonna get started. First of all, welcome, ladies. This is the next episode of Sisters Got Game. It's a podcast that we do at Sisters in Sweat.
Nice name. No?
And the idea is to highlight the stories and the journeys of women, not just athletes, but anyone in any industry, any woman who's done well. Of course, today on the couch, however, we do have three athletes, so three ex-athletes from different sports, so this should be super interesting. We have Nisha Millet, who is an Olympic level swimmer, very famous name. And we're also working with her for our swim piece with Sisters in Sweat. We have Pallavi Sukumar, who's been a national record holder in athletics at the junior level, and has clocked 11.9 seconds in a 100-meter sprint,
That's
which is
crazy
insane.
fast. Yeah.
And she heads our run club every Sunday here in Bangalore. And I'm Tanvie Hans. I will be today's host. I'm also a footballer, have played at various levels, and I'm currently still playing. So what's interesting about today's podcast is that we're essentially in different stages of our professional athlete career. I'm still active, well, just the last tail bit of it, but I am still an active player. Pallavi more recently retired from the professional scene.
Yeah, I mean, I've been out of competitive sport for a while, but always been connected with it. Only just finding that balance of where I want to be right now. Like, obviously involved with sport, but not in a competitive way.
Fair enough. And now, of course, you're coaching it.
Exactly, the run group.
And we have Nisha, how long has it been since you've retired?
I retired in 2004. So it's, almost going on 20 years now. And my academy has also been running for about 20 years. Nice. So now I'm in a totally different phase.
Yeah. And you've got a family, you've got kids.
Yes.
So yeah.
So I'm even a sports mom. So that's the next level.
Yeah. Awesome. So the hope is that from today's podcast, we're able to sort of capture the different stages in a female athlete's career in India, and the transition phase after you retire. What is the adjustment like? What is the discipline like? Do we continue the discipline after? Are we able to take it into the rest of our lives? And then having a family, having other professional obligations and family obligations, all those things. So I want to know,
what that's like.
Yes, from your point of view.
Okay.
We'll get started with Nisha. Tell us about how your academy came about, and is it as fulfilling as when you were an athlete yourself? Tell us a little bit about that.
I think for me it was a very natural transition, and normally a very scary part of a professional athlete's career is towards the end when you're trying to figure out what do I do now, because for so many years sport has been your one purpose in life. You define yourself almost by your sport. So suddenly at the end of a career you're thinking, what do I do? I have to go back to normal life. But for me, I already had decided somewhere along the way that I nearly missed out on the wonderful sport of swimming because I was petrified of water. I had a near drowning experience, and my dad managed to get me into the sport, but I had such bad coaches in the beginning. Their old-fashioned way of just chuck a kid in and then hope they learn how to swim. I said I want to change that. So funnily enough, most competitive athletes tend to become competitive coaches, but I didn't want to go near that. I knew from the very beginning when I started thinking about opening my own academy that I wanted to do grassroots level, learn to swim, encourage not just kids, but even we taught two 70-year-olds this year, a couple of months back. So it's good to see that anybody at any age can, learn how to swim. So I think that was when I really decided, okay, I need to get into coaching. I also did it to raise funds because my parents had put in almost 70-80 lakhs into my swimming career. They sold our family house and put that money into my career. So I also started teaching so that I could now start providing for them and looking after them. So that's how it started. And in those days, this is a good 20 years ago, it wasn't people opening academies wasn't the cool thing. People would say, just go and get a bank job. I'm sure as an athlete, you're going to approach the police or the railways. I wouldn't enjoy that, So for me, it was very important that whatever I get into, I'm really passionate about. Right. So just, coaching sports, coaching swimming just came naturally to me, and I'm so glad I took that leap of faith.
Yeah, and I feel like your academy is so well known. Obviously, your name's attached to it, thus the success. But also, we've been working with you now for many months, and we've got some positive feedback. You know, so I think obviously even the coaching angle, you're doing very well.
Thank you.
Coming to you, Pallavi, what does a day look like today as opposed to, let's say, when you were a professional athlete?
So I think life has changed 180 degrees since I was a competitive athlete, and probably for the best also. Sporting career is one that is physically, mentally, emotionally demanding, and in so many other ways, not just to an athlete but also to their support structure, their families. And when I started out, I was 11 years old, so I had all the support that I could have ever dreamed of from my family, and I never really missed out on a normal life. So the years passed by really, really quickly. I was competing, I was traveling, I was doing well, obviously. So I never looked back, and I only had time to do that when I ended my competitive career or when I had long injury breaks. And I realized that that time was so great only because it didn't last for the entire portion of my life. Probably if I was still competing, I might have felt like I missed out on some other parts. But the time that it took and the lessons that I learned and the relationships that I forged were perfect for that time in my life. And then, of course, college happened, internships, work, and I went down the academic route. And I was as competitive in my studies as I was in sport. So I didn't really feel the transition, but it happened. It happened nevertheless, and I'm glad it happened. Though a day today looks very different than what my competitive life was, I don't think I could have put aside like 8 hours towards grueling physical training now. There are many other passions I found in life, and I love to have the freedom to explore those, because while sport defines us initially, it's we who define it later on as to what place it occupies in our life, and there are many aspects to it.
That's very well put together. We'll be cutting that for the promo piece. Thank you.
But yeah, it's been wonderful and it's been so rewarding, and I think sport has actually given me so much that I feel like I'm able to give back a lot through sport now. I think we both share that, and that's also one of the core aspects of our friendship, that we believe in sport and we like to give back.
We go for these sporty movies and we just cry. Like we went for Dangal and we were crying. Then we went for some other random movie which wasn't that emotional, but we were so emotional just thinking about our sports.
Yeah.
And I remember when three of us had that nice coffee
that conversation
once.
Yes.
The first time that we all met up together, we had everyone is so passionate, talking about your sport, talking about the similarities. So I think that's like a common bond, right, that athletes share.
It is.
For sure. It is. I think the whole journey of an athlete, of course, besides being physical, it's very mental and emotional. You know, so of course, like when we see movies like this, even though it's extremely dramatized,
highly,
there's definitely that relatability, and you can tap into those feelings very quickly if you've experienced it at any level.
True, and especially women in sport have a colossally different experience than men in sport, especially in our country. So it's a shared relationship, even though it's maybe different sports and at different levels of competitiveness, but there is a common thread and there's no denying that.
So what is I don't even know this, by the way, what is your job?
Oh yeah, so I do have a day job, and I studied very hard for it actually. So when I was talking about the competitive part of my academics, I decided that, you know, now that sports is competitive sport is not my main focus anymore, I decided to go extremely aggressively into my academics. So I wanted to pick the hardest things that I could. And I finished my graduation, and then I picked company secretaryship, which is very similar to chartered accountancy, but we specialize in corporate law, and we deal only with companies, setting them up, foreign investments, dealing with their shares, their directors. So I went down that path and wanted to complete it in the shortest possible time. So I finished my education in 2 years, jumped into internship. I was a national rank holder in
Wow. I
company
didn't know that.
secretaryship. Yeah, I'm a all India 20th rank.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, and I let that journey take its course as well. So that is my day job. I'm a freelance practicing company secretary, and I've been in practice for 7 years now. And yeah, I'm very happy with the profession that I chose.
And it's so different. Like there's nothing
Yeah,
to do with
it's
sports.
got nothing to do with sport. Absolutely.
Okay, so Nisha.
Yeah. Don't ask my ranks. Okay, let's not go there.
Yeah, let's not get into that for both of our sakes. But so now you're a mom
Yes.
of two.
I've got 9-year-old twins, twin girls.
Oh my God, I've never met them.
Yeah, so it's so difficult because on one hand it's great, like they luckily both love swimming, but they also love CrossFit. One likes gymnastics,
Right.
but it's to treat two kids who are the same age, similar build and height, but they have
Yeah.
totally different personalities.
Yeah.
And just to see their love of sports, it keeps changing. So it's very, very different journey for me, and not to try and be like this tiger mom,
Right.
and try and push them into swimming. Like I would
Yeah.
love obviously if they took to the sport and they love the sport,
Yeah.
but I'm not pushing anything on them because at the end of the day, swimming was my dream. It may not be theirs.
Right.
So just letting them have exposure, like they do take part in 3-kilometer runs. They do a bit of gymnastics. They've done some professional training there. They
Yeah.
love CrossFit. So they're like, we're going to be the first Indian CrossFitters to go for the CrossFit Open. And they can start competing at
Amazing.
14. So they're like, we've got 4 years
Yeah.
and we've never had Indian kids who've
Yeah,
done this,
yeah.
So they're already on their way, So,
Amazing.
yeah.
I can't believe they have a target like that already. In
No,
their
they're
mind.
the
Yeah.
most athletic girls I have ever seen, frankly.
Wow.
Energetic. So when Pallavi
Energetic
comes
too,
home,
yeah.
they're like cartwheeling. Then she'll do a back bend. They'll do a back bend. And they're trying to see how they can one-up Pallavi because she's really fit.
Yeah, about your fitness, by the way, the number of they'll never tell you to your face, but they come and tell us.
Oh.
That first of all, your build shows, no?
Okay.
Even in your
In the
coach's,
tea-bag,
in
yeah.
the coach's jersey and everything, they're gonna come up afterwards like, dude, look at bigger.
Yeah, I know, but it's so good that now women are starting to prioritize like strong women. Normally you see this size 0 girl, like, oh my God, look at her figure.
Yeah.
Now everyone's like, we love your shoulders and your muscles, and it's so nice, right? So that's a really
Yeah.
positive change.
Definitely.
And I think for the young generation to know that you don't have to have a thigh gap. I mean, if you do, it's not a bad thing, but you need to be strong, whether you're size 1, 2, XL, you're a small. If you have strength, that's so much more important.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more interest and praise now for strength, like you
Yeah.
said, and more functional ability
Yeah, of
rather
course.
than the aesthetics.
Just the
Yeah.
aesthetics,
Yeah.
yes.
Because trust me, raising kids is tough. So physically, exhausting. That when I quit swimming, I did go off the deep end and I ate everything I wanted to and I put on a lot of weight, especially post having kids.
Right.
And I was so fit at one point that I couldn't even run maybe 1 kilometer. So then you realize that
So unfit, yeah.
very unfit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I met Milind Soman, who gave me a very harsh. Sometimes you need that one person to give you a little bit of a kick in the butt,
Yeah.
So I got that, and then I got myself back on track.
Nice. So he was your
Yes.
turning point.
Yeah, he was, because I was in this phase of, I had twins. My God, my life is so tough. I have to feed them and change them and bathe them and keep them alive, which is your only,
Right.
and you totally forget about yourself. And I knew I was eating too much, and I'm a big chocoholic, so I was overdoing the carbs and the chocolate, and I was like, I have time. My kids are still small. And then Milind had called me for one of these runs of his, and I was there supposedly to motivate the others. And he saw me and he said, what the hell happened to you?
Right.
And sometimes somebody has to be a little blunt, Everybody else was saying, she's a new mom.
Yeah,
He just
tiptoeing
said,
around,
how old
like-
are your kids? I said, they're almost 2. He's like, time to get back in shape, don't you think? He literally just said that to me. And so the next time I met him, I'd lost about 10-15 kgs. I was running like a stadium run, like a 2-hour stadium run. He's like, oh my God, I'm so happy to see this, So, I mean, it's not that I did it for Milind, but I think somebody needs to sometimes tell you the hard truth.
Fair enough. I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
So tell me something that sort of segues me perfectly into the discipline aspect. Taking it from, the athlete lifestyle into the rest of your life. That transition, I imagine, I'm already facing it because, to be honest, I'm at the last leg with my
competitive
professional
football
career,
career as well. So you can feel the difference
Yeah.
because there's a structure in place when you're in season and things like that. But when
Yeah.
you're out of season, it's really up to you to continue that discipline. So has that been particularly difficult for you guys?
For me, I mean, I think I've had a lot of time to come to terms with it. I did struggle with it initially, especially because sport gives you a schedule that you feel very safe in and very not threatened in. You know that if you put in the work, you see the results when you compete, and it's all about following your schedule, whether it's diet, whether it's your rehab, whether it is training, and you know what the outcome is, and that's a very safe space to be in, and kind of a bit of a bubble also we live in for a couple of years. But real life is not at all like that. I wouldn't say real life, but the other aspects of life, you find there's so much of variables on even a day-to-day basis. So I struggled with that, the lack of schedule and structure in my life that I had to create. And all of a sudden the reins were in my hand, and I had to know when to hold back, when to let go. And my 20s was spent in a lot of, I think, exploring and experimenting with those boundaries. I definitely made some mistakes and poor choices at times, but luckily nothing too serious and nothing that I regret, but just good lessons learned. And now, since I'm in my early 30s, I think I've made peace with that stage and learned my lessons, and at least I'm a lot more clear about what I don't want to do or what I won't spend my time on. So that has become, the discipline has shifted again. It's not only towards the end goal of performing well and getting a gold medal or breaking a record, but it's about, having your boundaries, maintaining good relationships with friends, family, spending time, taking time out for oneself, and just being with yourself and learning new things when you can, challenging yourself. Getting a good night's sleep sometimes.
Priority number one.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
So the little things which I think a lot of people overlook or maybe have to put them on hold for whatever reasons. Those find their way into your discipline schedule and they become important.
Yeah. I mean, discipline for me kind of wanes. So for me, what personally works is having some kind of goal. So I tend to pick an event, a sport which I'm not comfortable in. So you'll never see me, I swim, I love swimming, I'm in the pool all the time, but all my goals now are non-swimming related. So initially I took up running and I said I'm going to do a half marathon, and suddenly when I reached close to 40, so the year before my 40th birthday, I said I want to do an ultra marathon.
That's 100 kilometers.
I did 50.
Yeah, okay, 50 is not much
50
easier.
Is still a lot, I hadn't done a full marathon.
More than a full marathon.
So I tend to choose these really tough goals that I know I have to put certain amount of time and effort. I did that for a bit. Now my new thing is CrossFit. I've been doing it for a while, but now I wanted to compete. Right. And it's not that, I want to go to the CrossFit games, and I know that I don't have that kind of time and effort and that I'm going to put towards it, but it just gives me a good goal. Like I came 4th last year in my age group, and I want to come 1st this year. And the girl who came 1st is a good friend of mine, so we're always messaging, and she lives in a different state. She's also a mom. We got chatting on Instagram, and we keep encouraging each other. So it's just great for me. That helps me wake up. Like
I think that's also why we became friends with each other, because we were the two most competitive women in the gym. First gym that was also a CrossFit.
She used to kick my butt. Let's not
I was also like 9 years younger, and I was not that far out of my competitive phase.
Yeah, but we used to like that. We used to push each other. We used to
like that a lot.
And we used to make, this is really mean, but we used to make fun of the people who come with lipstick to the gym, and they'll be, and for us we'll be lying at the at the end of workout on the floor, dusty and sweaty, and
elbows all
and we were fine with that. We wanted that, right? So I think that's how we actually met and we became
friends and bonded.
Nice. And you guys are so close now. Every time even right now while you're waiting for the podcast to get started, you guys are chatting about chatting. And I was like, I don't know, I should be a good host, but you guys were sorted with each other, kept each other company.
Yeah.
I love it.
We've traveled together. We've done a lot of stuff together over the years, but that bond was forged
and there's
over.
it's quite a big age difference, but you don't really feel it.
I don't feel it at all.